Welcome to module 2 of Soul Food. I am so excited. Last week was absolutely epic. There was so much content, and I know for a lot of you it takes a little while to get into it, and take your time. This is your course, this is for you, and you can take it on your own time, on your own path, and let it be your own journey, right? For each of us, when we are going through changes, especially when it comes to our physical body and how we consume food and how we see food and the types of food we're eating, it is a process. I never recommend to anyone to go cold turkey because our bodies don't know how to adjust, right? If I've gone from eating meat and dairy one day to eating none of it, my body's going to start reacting in a way that doesn't feel good to me, right? So instead, I recommend a slow adjustment. Okay, so today, module 2 is food for the soul. This is the module. This is the module I've been waiting for. This is the module that probably gave birth to soul food itself. And it's all about how we can nourish our bodies with the right types of food. I have created a separate video. The video is a 4-day meal prep as well as a bonus what I eat in a day. So that is available on the module homepage. So all you have to do is click the video to view and you can watch that. So basically I go through a 4-day plant-based meal plan based on some recipes. I have created the recipe document as well, so you can download that as an additional bonus. So that's really exciting. I've done that. The reason I did that as well is I wanted to split this video to be purely informative and that video to be a little more practical. So I take you through a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 3 snacks. So it's really easy, really nutritious, really filling. And the other thing I want you to keep in mind is adjust the ingredients to suit your preferences, all right? You don't have to be eating what I eat. Obviously, I create recipes with me in mind, recipes that I know I will enjoy. You know, sometimes they have health benefits, like I really enjoy anti-inflammatory foods and foods that will help my irritable bowel syndrome or help my inflammatory bowel disease and those types of things. So I keep that in mind, but most of the time it's things that I know I'm going to enjoy and look forward to. So that's really important. So enjoy that video, click on that button and you can watch that at any time. It was more to show you that it's really easy to create plant-based meals. And it's really efficient, it's cost effective, it doesn't have to be expensive, and in it I create a vegetable broth. Now, although I've provided a recipe for that vegetable broth, I like to call this my Sunday whatever's left in my fridge soup. Okay, so every Sunday it will be slightly different. So I'll always add a protein source, which will usually be red split peas for me, because red split lentils or split peas, whichever way you like to call them, they're actually a lot easier for your body to digest. So if you have issues digesting legumes, pulses, then red split peas are a lot easier for your body to digest because they've already been split and they contain different properties, so our bodies can actually digest them really easily. Obviously, there are dark lentils, there are chickpeas, there are beans. Beans, I find that for my particular body type, it doesn't digest that easily. And I'm always left feeling really bloated. I do still consume beans, but I try to keep them to a minimum. But if you find that beans are really good for you and your body digests them really well, I recommend you adding beans into your soup as well. Okay, so what else I add into this soup are whatever veggies are left in my fridge. So I always like a leafy green. So whether it's kale, chard, also known as silver beet, bok choy, pak choy, spinach, those types of leafy greens, I really like to add them into my soup. And I almost always have leftover because when you buy a big bunch of kale, you don't usually get through it in the week, especially with salads and other things. So I'll add a whole bunch to my soup. Now, the good thing about leafy greens is you can literally add a whole bowl and it'll condense into about this much, all right? So add a whole bunch in there. They're full of micronutrients and it's really good for your body. The other thing I add are things like almost always there's the 3 keys, which are carrots, celery, and onions. I almost always add them. If you're fructose intolerant, you can eliminate the onions, but obviously I add them because they do add a lot more flavor. I'll add a veggie broth, unsalted veggie broth. Sometimes I'll make it red, so I'll add a passata or some pasta sauce or something like that. I'll add a whole bunch of herbs and spices right at the end. Parsley, basil are a must for me, oregano. I don't add salt to my soup. And the reason for this is I find that salt is something It's a personal preference, and when I'm serving my meal anyway, when I've reheated it, I'll always add salt anyway. So I don't need to add salt to the main dish because I'm gonna add salt later on. I love salt, right? But what I find is if I've added salt to the soup, when I reheat it, I can't taste that salt anymore. So then I'm adding more. So I'm adding all of this sodium unnecessarily. I do use Himalayan salt as well. Pink Himalayan salt is preferred. It just has a lot more antioxidants and minerals, and it's a lot better for your body, but you know, each to their own, that's fine. And yeah, whatever other veggies you have, things that you like. I love zucchini, I love mushrooms, I love whatever's left in the fridge, I'll add it to my soup. You know, I may need to buy one zucchini or one this or one that to add to it, but almost always it's whatever's left in my fridge. Okay, so that's a little bit about that video. Push that to the side. So the main purpose of this video today is I want to talk about the vibration of food. Now everyone knows I'm a self-claimed woo-woo, and not even self-claimed anymore. I know I'm a woo-woo, I'm an intuitive. I'm really connected to the energy of myself and the energy of the world and the energy of every other being, every other thing that's in existence, to you, to the world, to food, to everything. When I started learning about energy, I came to realize, and more information was presented to me. Obviously, when you're in the law of attraction and you're vibrating on a certain frequency, things that match that frequency gravitate towards you. And what was included in that through my veganism journey was the vibration of food. We are energy. Science has proved this. We know this. We are energetic beings. All right. So we are constantly vibrating. All right. Because energy is constantly vibrating. It's constantly moving. Energy can never die, can only be transferred. So if I am an energetic being, so is that camera in front of me, all right? And the only reason that it exists, the only reason I can see it is because it's constantly vibrating, because it is energy. Therefore, the food that I eat is also full of energy. It holds its own vibration. Now, if I consume food, right, that has suffered in its life, for example, you know, a cow that has been tortured, you know, a sheep that has been mistreated, has been abused, has lived in a cage its entire life, and that animal is then killed, and I go and purchase that animal, that piece of meat, whatever it is, and then I consume it, the energy is transferred to me, okay? Because energy can only ever be transferred, cannot be destroyed. So what will happen is I take on that energy. And, you know, having that one piece of meat that's low vibration isn't going to hurt me necessarily. But when I consume most of my diet from a very low frequency, that's when it starts really affecting my own energetic scale. If I'm eating meat every day, meat often that I buy from the supermarket, that's very low vibration. If I'm consuming a lot of dairy, you know, and dairy not only has the animal suffered, the actual properties within that dairy product aren't that good for us. So it's known that milk, for example, a certain amount of pus is allowed to remain within that milk. You know, it's an industry standard, and then we consume it, because what happens is they over milk the cows, and the cow's teats become really infected and inflamed and bleed, and a lot of pus comes out of it. And that milk is designed for a baby cow to digest. A baby cow has several stomachs, so it goes through several stomachs in order to digest. We have one, all right? And our body isn't designed to digest it in a way that's good for us. So I'm not just talking about vibration here. I'm talking about the elements of the milk itself, all right? So it's so deep, but the point is I want, on a conscious level, I want to consume as many foods as possible that are high vibration. So what does that mean? It means eat the rainbow. Eat as many fruits and vegetables as you can. There's no such thing as fruit has too much sugar. Don't eat this, eliminate that. No, eat the rainbow. Earth to plate. That is always my philosophy. As often as I can, I think earth to plate, earth to plate. Obviously buying organic is great. It can be really expensive. It can be hard to find, hard to source, and all of those things. If you can't buy organic, that's okay. What I do is often I don't buy organic. If I don't buy organic and I'm consuming, let's say, a carrot or a cucumber or something, I'll make sure to peel the skin, because I know that a lot of wax and a lot of pesticides live on that. I wash my strawberries really thoroughly, my leafy greens really thoroughly. I put them in a bowl of water, and I'll add, you know, a cup of vinegar or apple cider vinegar, and let it sit there for a few minutes to really clean and kill as many pesticides as I can, and then dry them and then consume them. So I'm really conscious of what I'm putting into my body. So eat the rainbow, earth to plate, earth to plate. When I'm thinking about what to buy, my grocery shopping, like I went supermarket shopping today. I love supermarket shopping. So first I went to a fruit store. That's what I try to do. I try to do my fresh produce first. So I go to a fruit store, I see what's good. I don't just buy whatever's on my list. I see what's good, I see what's in season, what looks really good, if there's good produce there, what's on special as well, because obviously you want it to be cost effective, because supermarket shopping can really be expensive if we try too hard to find exotic ingredients. So I buy as much as I can. Whatever's left over is I'll go to a supermarket and I'll buy the rest, right? And my pantry things I'll buy from a supermarket as well in order to get what I need. So the majority of my trolley is fresh produce. So I always have a fully stocked fridge. What I find is when I do that, I consume more of it. I don't want it to go bad. I don't want to waste it. So I make sure that I consume it, right? So I have recipes that I plan every week. These are the types of foods I'll be eating. And it's not always, I'll just buy extra ingredients because I know I'll make an extra salad, or if guests come over and I need to make a few, platters and things, I've always got things in the fridge that are available to me that are fresh, that are delicious. If I have time and I do my meal prep on a Sunday, for example, I'll always make, let's say, a batch of soup. I'll cut up some carrots, celery, cucumber, and have them ready there. So if I want a quick snack dipping in hummus or something like that, I've got them available to me from out on the run. If I have time and I do some meal prep, I keep some extra in containers in the freezer. So when I am in a hurry during the week and I don't have time to cook a fresh meal, I can just take one of those and take them with me wherever I need to go and warm them up. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of microwaves because, again, it has its own energetic radioactive force field over there, and I try to avoid it, but sometimes it's unavoidable, so I do sometimes warm things up in a microwave. I don't actually have a microwave in my home, but if I'm out or if I'm working somewhere and there's a microwave, I'll use a microwave. If I'm at home, I'll warm things up on the stove or in the oven, or I will cook fresh meals every day. Now, that's the perks of working from home most of the time, is I have my kitchen readily available to me so I can cook fresh. Not everyone has that luxury, and that's okay. So that's where I recommend food prepping and keeping as much food in the fridge or in the freezer already prepped so you can make your life really easy. The food prep guide I gave you was a 4-day meal plan, and the reason for that was because over 4 days, the food doesn't taste as good, and especially if you haven't frozen it and it's still in the fridge, a 5-day-old salad ain't that great. So I do recommend 4 days max, and then every 4 days, if you can, do another 4 days. And if you can't do that, utilize your freezer meal. So if you want, you can increase the quantities and you can freeze a batch as well. The other thing is I like a bit of variety. I don't like to eat the same thing every day. I like to change it up. I don't mind, let's say I've made a soup. Today I'll have it as a soup. Tomorrow I'll have it as a soup with a side salad. The next day I may blend it all up and have like a juicy soup where, it's all mixed soup where I just drink from a cup, or add it to a bed of rice to make it more like a curry. I might add some extra spices to it. Do you know what I mean? So I'll always mix it up a little so I feel like I'm eating a lot of variety. So back to the vibration of food. So food holds vibration. What I consume is the vibration that I take on. So eat the rainbow, earth to plate as often as possible. And that's where I talked about organic, even better because there's less pesticides, it's more natural, it's more beautiful, it's better for you. Now, pantry type of foods. I do purchase canned beans, canned lentils, canned chickpeas. That's for convenience, but I always have dried pulses as well. So when I can, I cook them myself. When I'm making soups and that, I'll always add a dry because it's better for you. It hasn't got all of these extra preservatives. It hasn't got salt added, sugar added. It's not in a tin. The lining of the tins are known to give you cancer. There's been studies that correlate cancer in the lining of tins. That doesn't mean I eliminate them. It means I try to reduce my intake of them. And that's the thing. We can do the best we can. Like right now, I'm taking on more of a waste-free approach. So I'm trying to use less plastic bags. I'm trying to get rid of drinking straws. So I went and bought these metal straws. I'm trying in any way I can to reduce my own production of waste. Now that takes time. I can't do it overnight. I'm doing little by little, and that's what I recommend you to do. You may not be able to go full vegan, plant-based, waste-free person overnight, but it can be a process. It can be a journey in order to raise your own vibration. You consume foods that are nourishing, then your body will exert that same sort of vibration, right? So what you consume is what you are. What you consume is what you are. What you consume is what you give out, what you project. All right, so that's the cycle. That's the cycle, and that will really elevate your vibration, and you'll feel fuller for longer. You'll feel full of energy, you'll feel nourished. You'll find that you'll start craving certain foods less and less because you're nourishing your body in a way that it doesn't need anything else. It's very satisfied. It's satisfied by the foods you're eating. You'll notice that when you go to McDonald's or when you eat takeout, you eat, and you feel sickly full, but you're not really satisfied. And the reason for that is because the food that you buy from these types of stores are full of preservatives, full of sodium, full of chemicals, full of fats, full of engineered ingredients that aren't satisfying to your body. Your body cannot recognize them. It is toxic to the body, and our body doesn't know how to digest it, doesn't know how to react to it, doesn't know how to absorb the nutrients from it. So I try to as well incorporate a diet that is both rich in macronutrients as well as micronutrients. So I don't just focus on proteins, fats, and carbs. That's important. It's important to have a balance of those three. I try to stick to an even balance, especially from a plant-based diet. Some people prefer more protein, some people prefer more fat, some people prefer more carbs. Adjust it according to your own body. I personally like the balance, but I also try to incorporate micronutrients in everything that I eat. So for example, I'm going to create 12 anti-inflammatory recipes. So based on all anti-inflammatory foods, and I do have a list for you right now. So I'll read it out to you. So I have been doing a lot of research on anti-inflammatory foods. Now the thing is with inflammation most of the time is good. So for example, and this is added to, I know it sort of looks like a side topic here, but it's attached to my micronutrient explanation. So inflammation is good most of the time. So let's say when you cut yourself, you'll notice that it swells, or when you bruise yourself, it swells and a lot of blood rushes there. And that is in order for more white blood cells to be there in order to heal the wound or the pain or whatever. So most of the time swelling is good. However, excess swelling, excess inflammation is not good for your body, especially internally in your digestive tract. I find that I swell a lot. I've always had a lot of intestinal issues, and this is due to my chronic dieting in my youth and all the diet pills I was taking in the past and all that, and that's really stuffed my digestive tract. But now I'm trying to rectify that in any way possible, and that's why obviously I eat plant-based. I try to eat very high vibration, earth to plate as often as I can. All right, so anti-inflammatory foods, I started incorporating a lot more of these ingredients into my meals, and I will create 12 recipes for you. I'm not sure if I'll release it this week or next week, but I will have 12 recipes for you that are anti-inflammatory meals. So if you do find that you feel very swollen or sore or things like that, then start incorporating more of these ingredients. Now, please keep in mind, when I consume refined sugar, that is white sugar, whether that is in a donut, churros, ice cream, anything processed or artificial, the next day I will look like a balloon. I will swell up because sugar is toxic. Sugar is something that my body can't really identify. It doesn't know how to process really well, so my body reacts in a negative way. Okay, so anti-inflammatory ingredients, things like blueberries and berries. Berries are really good, not just for inflammation, but also for your heart, for your blood. Dark colored foods, so reds and purples, are really good for your blood cleansing as well, but they're anti-inflammatory. Turmeric, obviously turmeric is a superfood, a super spice, and I've started adding it to my oats now. So if you look at the recipes that you received in the bonuses, I had some banana oats or something like that, some cooked oats with berries, something like that. What I do now is I add about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric as well as a crack of black pepper. Now the black pepper is used in order to release a certain element from the turmeric in order for our body to be able to absorb it. Without the black pepper, it can't absorb this certain mineral, I think it is. So that's why we add the cracked black pepper. Now you can't taste it in your oats. I put so little. It does give it a little bit more of an earthy taste, but because of the berries and the bananas and the sweeteners and stuff that you add to it, it's all good and it tastes delicious. And I do find that I have a lot less inflammation during the day, just adding that tiny bit of turmeric to my morning breakfast. Not my breakfast, I usually do intermittent fasting, so it's usually for my lunch. But in whichever meal you do it, I'm just trying to add more of these types of ingredients. And I will add that recipe to the 12 recipes that I create. All right, ginger, also ginger, lemon. I like to have ginger and lemon water in the morning if I can, or if I feel like it, or during the day, that's fine. So ginger is also really good. If you cannot buy fresh ginger, it's super expensive. What I use as well is the doTERRA ginger essential oil. So you just put a drop of that. Sometimes I find that 1 drop is too strong. So what I'll do is I'll dilute it. I'll create a glass of water, or I'll pour a glass of water and I'll put it into the warm water. I'll let it dilute a bit and then I'll put a bit of that water into my tea, as opposed to having the whole drop of essential oil. Leafy greens, that's why I always recommend adding them to your soups, to your salads, to your meals, in whichever way you can, because they're really nutritious, full of micronutrients and really good for you and help with your inflammation. Tomatoes, I love tomatoes. I add them to everything as often as I can. They help keep your body alkaline as well and less acidic. I know it's strange because it's an acidic vegetable. Sorry, it's an acidic fruit, so you think that it would increase your acidity, but it doesn't, it does the opposite. Bok choy, pak choy, I love those Asian greens and I add them to my soups or to my stir fries or to anything. I bought some cauliflower rice today and I'll probably make like a little veggie stir fry or add it to a roasted eggplant as a topping or something or other like that. Beets, now I'm not the biggest fan of beetroot at all. I avoid beetroot like the plague. Yesterday I went out and there was beetroot even though I had asked for no beetroot and I was like, oh my God, I hate beetroot. However, I will try slowly to incorporate it into my diet, even in small amounts, because I know it's good for me, and maybe I can create some recipes where it doesn't taste so bad. And I'm even thinking right now like a roasted beetroot maple glazed dish, because that sounds like I'm a sweet tooth, so maybe I could turn it around and make it a bit nice. But I just find it has a really, really earthy flavor that I don't like, but it is good for inflammation. Olive oil and coconut oil. By olive oil, it's extra virgin olive oil. Now the thing is when you warm up oil, it changes its properties. So try to consume your oil raw if you can. So I'll add extra virgin olive oil to my salads or to my soups at the end, so I won't cook with it, but I'll add a drizzle when it's in my plate already, something like that, right? So it is good for you, not too much of it because then it becomes excess fat, but a little bit is good. Do not eliminate fat from your diet because we need all three macronutrients. We need protein, we need fat, and we need carbohydrates. So don't eliminate fat or carbs or any one group from your diet. Incorporate all of them, and healthy fats are important. So extra virgin olive oil, coconut, avocados, nuts, seeds, all really high in micronutrients and really good for our bodies as well, and very high vibration, earth to plate, and as unrefined as possible. So unrefined extra virgin coconut oil is really good as well. Chia seeds, flax seeds. I consume flax seeds every single day in my oatmeal. I will add chia seeds from time to time, or if I make a chia seed pudding, or if I'm making some raw balls or something like that, I'll add chia seeds. Or sometimes I feel like I need some additional fiber, I'll add them. I do find that chia seeds are much higher in fat and calories than, let's say, flax seeds. So I don't always consume them because I just don't feel I need them. But I still love chia seeds and I add them to a lot of my recipes because they're delicious, so they're good for you, and I know that my body needs them. Now, don't grab a tablespoon of chia seeds and put it in your mouth because you could actually choke, because what happens is as soon as chia seeds mix with a liquid, they become like jelly, and they expand. And what can happen is if you have consumed the dry and then they reach your saliva in your throat, you can actually choke. So don't do that. If you do have them dry, have them, for example, in an oatmeal or a granola or something like that. Pineapple is super anti-inflammatory, super good for you. I do actually have a recipe that I created for an anti-inflammatory drink. So what I do is I buy frozen pineapple. Fresh pineapple is good too, but you can't always buy it or it's not always in season. So I buy frozen pineapple. I'll add that with a little bit of cucumber peeled. I'll add a drop of my ginger essential oil and a bunch of ice and water. I'll blend that all up and it becomes like a slushy, and it's so delicious and it's so good for you, and I feel my inflammation just going straight away. So I will add that to the recipes as well. Spinach goes into your leafy greens, but especially spinach, super good for you. If you do suffer with things like IBS or inflammatory bowel disease, you might not want to consume raw spinach, so consume it cooked. Whole grains, so things like buckwheat and quinoa, they're really, really good for you. Raw oats are really good for you as well. Not too much of anything, right? But we want a variety of things. And again, we're trying to think high vibration foods, earth to plate as much as possible, as little ingredients as possible. One ingredient is the best. So when you see on the packet, it's just like 100% quinoa. You're just like, yes, that's what I like. That's what I want to consume. Walnuts and all other nuts, especially walnuts, because walnuts in particular have all of these additional properties that our body really enjoys when it comes to inflammation and getting rid of inflammation, but all nuts are great. I try to add nuts as often as I can, but not obviously consuming excess nuts, but I'll add them to my oatmeal, sprinkle them on, or I'll just have a handful of nuts as a snack, or nut butter. I love nut butter. I'm the biggest fan of nut butter, so I'll add that where I can as well. I'll add them to recipes. I'll make raw slices with nuts because I know they're super good for me. And raw, I try to consume them raw as often as possible. Occasionally I want them roasted, so I'll roast them myself with a bit of water and a bit of salt, and they're just absolutely delicious and they're satiating, and you will enjoy them, and they're good for your body and good for your soul. Garlic is like a superfood. Now my dad, I don't know if I've shared this story with you, actually has brain cancer, and he was diagnosed in 2011. And he always commends his excess consumption of garlic to how well he's gone in life in regards to his health, because he feels that garlic has played a huge role in his life, because he consumes like Most people have, let's say, for example, a meal with like a little bit of garlic as a garnish. He'll have garlic with a little bit of a side meal. That's the type of, garlic consumption he enjoys. Now, I'm not about that life because too much garlic for me doesn't sit well, but I do try to add it to all of my cooked meals, not raw, but all of my cooked meals, because I know it's full of amazing properties. Now, another thing I'm going to add this, it's not really soul food related, but a good tip to know, women who suffer with thrush, for example, they say to grab a bulb of garlic, to cut slices into it and to insert it, and can actually help clear your thrush as well. So it's known to do this. I'm no doctor. Don't take everything I say as gospel, but I have heard a lot of testimonials saying that that's really good for you. It's a natural alternative to going and buying thrush creams. So consider that as an option as well. All right, rosemary and basil. I cook with a lot of herbs. I love herbs and spices, so I add a lot of them to all my meals. Basil, parsley, rosemary. The only thing I cannot stand is coriander, so there'll be no coriander in any of my recipes ever. If you like coriander, add it in, but me personally, that's a no-go zone for me. Okay, so cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I add it to everything. I just realized that I forgot to add cinnamon this morning to my oatmeal. I knew it tasted different. I love cinnamon. I add it to everything. Super anti-inflammatory. I will consume more cinnamon than the average person just because I love it so much. If you aren't the biggest fan of cinnamon, start with a small amount just to add that you can't taste, and then eventually you'll find that you do actually enjoy it more and more and more. Now, bone broth is known to be anti-inflammatory because of a million different properties, and another reason why it's considered to be really good is because of the collagen that it produces and you consume. Now, a lot of studies have shown that consuming additional collagen doesn't mean that your body will absorb that collagen. Now, collagen keeps you youthful. It's a thing that makes our skin look incredible, makes our body look incredible, makes our hair look incredible, our nails, everything look absolutely incredible. However, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and studies suggest that instead of consuming extra collagen, consume foods that allow your body to produce its own additional collagen. All right, so that's what I've done, is I've created a vegan alternative, or I found a vegan alternative to bone broth. All right, and I'm going to actually test it out in the next few days, and I will keep you updated. And if it's a really good recipe, I will add it to the anti-inflammatory guide as well. So it's a vegan alternative to bone broth. So I will try it out and let you know how it goes. And if it's amazing, I will add it to the guide. Hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are full of amazing, incredible fats, anti-inflammatory, really good for your body. So add them where you can. Tart cherries. All right, I like the sweet cherries, but what I've done is I've purchased a bag of frozen cherries because I know they're more tart. Almost all frozen fruit tends to be a lot less sweet and a lot more tart because they pick them unripe most of the time when they freeze them, but that's okay for this purpose. Tart cherries are good, so I'll add them to smoothies, I'll add them to my oats, I'll add them to things like that, or if I'm making like some muffins or a bar or something like that, I'll add these tart cherries because I know they help with my inflammation and also help with my blood as well. Raw dark chocolate. So there is vegan dark chocolate. I recommend the brand Panna Chocolate or Loving Earth because it's naturally sweetened as well with coconut nectar. I recommend those two brands if you want a little bit of raw chocolate. My alternative to that is consuming cacao powder. So I add raw cacao powder to a lot of my sweet dishes and like a lot of my bars and things, and that will produce the same sort of antioxidant that raw chocolate would. Shiitake mushrooms. I've just bought a bag of dried shiitake mushrooms. It is one of the ingredients in the vegan bone broth alternative, so I will be adding that as well and let you know how that goes. Miso and miso paste. I have not worked with miso whatsoever, so I will experiment, but it is known to be an anti-inflammatory. Chili and peppers. IBS/inflammatory bowel disease, peppers are a no-go zone, so I don't consume them too often. I will add chili powder to certain recipes, so that's a tick for me. Now, the big one, soy. Now, there are a lot of studies over the years that suggest that soy produces excess hormone, specifically estrogen, which can cause breast tissue growth in men and women and all of these hormonal issues and imbalances. Now, that's actually a myth. So there's no study that is actually supportive of that, or no legitimate study that actually supports that correlation. I don't recommend excess of anything. So I don't recommend too much broccoli, too much this, too much that, too much soy, too much anything. We want a well-balanced diet, so that includes soy. But soy is known to be a very good anti-inflammatory. It is an absolutely amazing vegan protein source. I personally don't consume too much of it, but I will add it here and there to my meals. Maybe once a fortnight, I'll have a bit of soy, whether that comes in tofu or soy milk or edamame beans or something like that. I will consume a little bit of soy. I won't overuse it, but given this, like if you make a miso soup, I know soy goes really well with that. So you could always add that. Or even in smoothies, a lot of people add silken tofu in their smoothies to make them more creamy, and it adds all of this protein that you're completely unaware of, and a good source of fat as well. So that's what I mean by considering micronutrients. So all of those were anti-inflammatories. I try to incorporate ingredients that serve purpose, right? Not just raise my vibration, not just come from a really beautiful, organic, natural place, you know, farm, earth to table, and into my body, and I consume it and I respect it. I also pray before I eat anything. I thank God, the fact that I have this meal, that I'm grateful for that meal. I'm adding the vibration, I'm giving that frequency exchange. But I'm also very mindful of the fact that everything I consume serves a purpose. It serves a purpose to nourish me, to fill me with amazing nutrients, micronutrients, macronutrients, things that my body need. It fuels my body, it heals my body, it allows me to be full, high vibration all of the time. I'm always full of energy. Like today, all I've had is a kombucha, and I've had my oatmeal bowl, which had my oats, my flax meal, I forgot the cinnamon, turmeric, pepper, boiling water, berries. I had peanut butter, natural peanut butter. I had and flaked almonds on top, and it was absolutely delicious, and I loved it, and I'm full of energy, and it's 2:45, that's all I've eaten, and I'm just full of energy. And you'll find that the more you consume foods that are very high vibration, full of nutrients, that the more energy you have, and you'll crave less and less the artificial food. Now, I'm human too, and I like the artificial food sometimes too. So what I try to do is keep an 80-20 ratio. 80% of the time I'm eating really amazing, nutritious, well-balanced meals, and 20% of the time I eat the junk that I know will make me feel sick, that I know will not nourish my body in any way, but sometimes my soul wants it. Over time, I will try to reduce that as much as I can, and I do more and more. But sometimes I'm out with friends and everyone's eating churros and I want churros too, and that's what I do. Okay, so we're human, we're natural, it's okay, forgive yourself, it's not a big deal. And you know, sometimes your soul needs that food as well. We spoke about that last week. Another mindset shift I want to talk about is shift the focus from thinking that we're eating too much of certain things to I'm not eating enough of certain things, all right? Because when you shift that focus, you'll find that you try to add more nutrient dense ingredients to your foods. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm eating too much of this, think, okay, I'm actually not eating enough anti-inflammatory ingredients. So to my oats, I'm going to add turmeric, I'm going to add black pepper, I'm going to add berries, I'm going to add flax meal. I'm going to add all of these things because I'm not consuming enough of it. I'm not consuming enough leafy greens. So to my soups, I'm going to add this. To my meals, I'm going to add that extra salad. Right? So instead of having a whole bowl of stew, what you're going to do is you're going to think in your mind, you're not thinking I'm having too much stew. You're thinking I'm not having enough leafy greens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have half the portion of stew, and I'm going to have half the portion of a big leafy green salad full of nuts and seeds, some extra virgin olive oil, a few berries in there, some goji berries, you know, some tomatoes, some cucumber, some carrots, and I'm gonna really enjoy it because I know I'm feeding my body what it needs. So do you see how it's a mindset shift? It's no longer me punishing myself for eating too much of this. It's me thinking, you know what? I need to take care of my body. I need to practice self-love. I need to nourish my body with what it needs and what it requires. And that's why I'm going to add all of these things, right? And in the process of adding, you just naturally take away from somewhere else because you can only fit a certain amount in your body. I showed you the scale last week where the scale you want to be in. So you want to be a little bit hungry and you want to be full. You want to be satisfied. You don't want to be exploding. But natural food will do that to you. So what I'll notice is when I eat fruit, I'm never wanting too much of it. All right. I'm never wanting an excess amount of it, because my body will tell me when to stop. I can't eat 20 bananas. I can only eat a certain amount of bananas because after a certain amount, my body's like, no more. Whereas when I'm eating ice cream, I can tell you I can eat 3 tubs of ice cream and only then do I feel sick once I've stopped. So your body recognizes the sugar in fruits and in vegetables, and it'll tell you when it's had enough and it no longer wants it. Okay, so cleansers and detoxes. Now this is my take on that. Occasionally our body wants a little cleanse or a detox, and that could mean a juice cleanse, a soup cleanse, an anti-inflammatory cleanse, or whatever. I don't recommend doing them often. only do them when you feel that you really need it. Like if I feel that I've had a whole week of really bad eating, especially over, let's say, the Christmas period or the Easter period or something, I'll want to do a 3-day little cleanse. That doesn't mean that I drink just juices, because I would die. I'm not about that life, right? What it'll mean is I'll incorporate a lot more liquid. So I may have more ginger lemon teas, I'll have more of my pineapple cucumber slushy, I'll have more soups, more broths, more juices. Actually, I don't ever consume juice because I prefer the fiber. All right, so I'll have, let's say, blended celery, carrot, orange, whatever, and I'll consume that. So I will nourish my body accordingly. Don't treat cleanses and detoxes as gospel, but it is important to cleanse our body as well if you've had too many toxins. So again, go back to eating normal. Don't eliminate food. Don't have a big binge day and the next day have nothing at all, because that's not good for your body. What you need to do is reintroduce high vibration foods, reintroduce your micronutrients, reintroduce healing foods, all right, that will help your body. So never go from a binge to nothing, because that is not healthy. That will not help your body. In fact, that will probably do more harm than good. Okay, so when you hear the term clean eating, this is my version of clean eating. Clean eating to me is just earth to table. One ingredient things, so things like vegetables, fruits, rice, whole grains, things like that. I try not to incorporate food that has multiple ingredients. I will consume, however, on occasion bread or wraps or things like that. I do not eliminate anything. Now, what causes inflammation are things like excess gluten, not gluten itself. Obviously, if you have a gluten intolerance, don't consume gluten. But if you don't have an intolerance, just consume a little less. So I find that last week I was having a lot of earth to table foods, and then I found myself really running. I wanted to go to the toilet all the time. I needed some starch. I needed the gluten. So what I did is I had some bread that was a few days old. It was sourdough bread, dark sourdough bread. It was a few days old, so a bit harder. I toasted it. I had it with some peanut butter, and I felt absolutely incredible after it, because it was exactly what my body needed. So listen to your body. And I felt no guilt, because that's what my body needed. It felt better straight after it. And I know it was good for my body. It was taking in the nutrients it needed. So don't eliminate anything, but your principle should always be earth to table as often as possible. All right, when you eat, I want you to keep this affirmation in mind. Eat slow, be mindful, and be present. So when you eat, enjoy it. Turn off your phone, switch off, maybe sit outside, sit on the couch and enjoy your time, and just eat and be mindful. Eat slowly. I have a very bad habit of eating fast. I'm always on the run, so I'm like, I find that always hurts my stomach. So these days I try to eat a lot slower. I try to be mindful when I'm eating, like enjoy every bite, eat slowly, be mindful, and be really present in the moment. I'm full of gratitude when I'm eating. I love it. I know it's fueling my body. I know I'm respecting my body, loving my body, and it feels really, really good to me. And most of all, I want to share with you, have fun cooking, all right? Have fun. It's a fun process. Experiment with ingredients. Use rainbow colored foods, naturally rainbow colored foods. It's really amazing to start experimenting with food. It wasn't until I became vegan that I became a really good cook. I could always cook, but I wasn't as experimental until I became vegan. And I think the reason for that is because when you go vegan, you can't really do much damage. Nothing's gonna go off, or you're not gonna be poisoned from undercooking of chicken or something like that. You are literally just going to either like the taste or you're not, and you can always change it around with spices if you need to. All right, so I experimented a lot with cooking. I have so many recipes now that I've created myself, and I enjoy cooking. It's something that is a really fun process to me. I enjoy tasting all the flavors as I'm cooking. Having my celery sticks, having my berries, enjoying it, sharing my experience with you, cooking with friends, cooking dishes to take to friends, people asking for the recipe. I love all that, and I really, really enjoy it. And I want you to enjoy it too. So today is all about food for the soul. Nourish your body. Consume as many high vibration foods as possible, because the more high vibration we consume, the higher our own vibration, and the higher our vibration, the higher the vibration that we project, and the vibration we're projecting is a vibration we're attracting, and so on. So that helps in the manifesting process as well. So you will start attracting high vibration things, people, experiences, because you're consuming. Your entire being is chemically changed to be high vibration, right? So it's not just your mindset, it's not just thinking in a high vibration way, it's you actually fueling your body. The chemicals in your body, the components in your body, the elements in your body are becoming high vibration. So you're literally changing the anatomy of your entire being. How incredible is that? Today was incredible. Enjoy the workbook. It's a lot less involved than last week because obviously I just talk about nutrient-rich foods. I will have a few recipes for you to experiment in the workbook as well. Enjoy the workbook, have fun. I love you all so much, and I will see you next week for another incredible module. Peace.